Hi everybody, it's Josh with Talk About Trek, and it is Wednesday, which means of course it is new comic book day. So my son and I, we went down to the comic book store to see what they would have for us, and we have three very interesting things we can show you guys here today. The first two are just variant covers, which we'll just kind of check out here. And as you can see, the first one that we're looking at is this cover C for the Dog of War. This is the first issue in that Deep Space Nine series, which I have not read yet. On the little thing here, of course, it says, "Come to Quarks. Quarks is fun. Come right now. Don't walk. Run." So I couldn't say no to that. I mean, they got me Quark with a dog. The dog is biting the latinum. I mean, come on, that's fantastic. This next one, I really like. Look at this. So this is again Dog of War #1, but this is cover 2 or cover B, and for whatever reason, it is in the style of the Lower Decks, with the Cerritos crew joining up here with the Deep Space Nine crew. So this is fantastic. I love to be able to see. Though those characters drawn in this style, so this was a no-brainer. I definitely had to pick this one up, and man, it makes me want a whole story, to go along with this. But no, this is still your plain old something about a dog on Deep Space Nine, and we're gonna read this story someday and figure out exactly what it's all about. But for now, we can just admire this wonderful variant cover that they did here, right? Very cool. All right, and then the final one that we're going to talk about here today, and the big one, of course, is Voyager Homecoming #2. So this is I think the newest release here. I like the cover, very cool. You can see Tuvok and then the multiple hands of species 8472 creeping up into his face, right? And man, look at right here where he's pulling on his lip. Like, this is good. And in here, it's like sinking into his skin. Very cool. So this is by, let me see, let's go to the first page here. Susan Bridges and Tilly Bridges, with art by Angel Hernandez, color by Charlie Kirchhoff, letters and design by Neil Uyatake. So, last time in Star Trek Voyager Homecoming, basically, as soon as they got to Earth, species 8472 commandeered the ship. They came aboard in the guise of some admirals, and then they commandeered the ship, took the thing into fluidic space, and that's where we start this comic here, with them being here in fluidic space here. So we'll see if we can't get a little bit better there. There we go. Now we're getting in there. Okay. Now I will say, it's I didn't the color kind of jumped out at me as weird, right? It looks, I don't know, looks like it should be a little darker for her hair. But as you can see, they make their way away from the admirals who had, transformed into species 8472. And it's kind of interesting. They kind of start the comic off with the species 8472 taking the defensive, saying, you guys started it. You allied with the Borg. You're the ones that came into our area, and you're the ones that didn't follow your own proper first contact procedures and all that, right? And as you can see, Tuvok here, he is in trouble. If he does not get to one of his family members and get the Fal Torvo within the next 2 days, he is going to die. So that's the driving force here in the comic. Okay. They're unable to regain control of the ship. And as you can see, B'Elanna has had enough of that, and she wants to go to engineering and attempt to retake the ship from there. She leaves her baby with the dock, and then they head down and attempt to retake engineering here. So, I think that I like how they drew Species 8472. I think, like, very cool looking right here. That's a very cool page. Whoa, Tom takes a big hit here, but luckily his wife is there to save him. You know, some nice action sequences here. Nothing like mind blowing or anything, but you know, fun. And I like this part here. It's like, you know your phasers are useless on me. They work fine on plasma conduits. Oh, got him. Harry Kim getting tossed about too here. And now, basically, they were going to use the deflector to be able to get home. So the Species 8472 destroyed the deflector. Now power is out throughout the entire ship here, and the doctor goes down, of course, too. And it's up to, you know, just Janeway and Seven here now to take care of business. Eventually, basically, they kind of get cornered. There's really nothing they can do, and Species 8472 captures all of them. They leave only Tuvok because he is sick, and Seven on the ship to kind of take care of things. And also, they left the baby, I think, right? Did they leave the baby? Yeah, they left the baby. Little baby Paris, you know. So you can see here, Seven left alone on the ship, and then they take you know, some of the crew aboard. I think the rest are kind of locked into the brig, and they're going to take and kind of introduce her to the, what do they call her? The Prime Hierarch, right? So Janeway's got to go into this little egg of goo, and once she goes into that goo, she can connect her mind to the Prime Hierarch here, and that's what she does. So back on the ship, Seven is trying to take care of the baby, and also restart the warp core at the same time. And a nice little sequence here too, where she asks Tuvok for help. You know, how do we get this baby to stop crying? And then Tuvok's like, well, sing to it, you know, sing to the baby. And then she asks Tuvok to sing, and then Tuvok actually goes and sings a nice song, and they translate it from Vulcan, you know. So, and that calms the baby down, and Seven's able to get her work done here. Back on the Species 8472 ship or base, I think, or wherever they're at, they're basically, Janeway's kind of pleading her case, you know, let us go, you know, we're not gonna go against you. And then Species 8472 is like, no, you know, you've been revealed, we know exactly what you guys are like and what you're gonna do, and because of that, what does she say? The invasion of Earth will commence, and the human race must come to an end. And then Janeway jumps out of the goo bubble, like hell it will, and then commands Harry to delete the data about how to get back to their star system, which I think was what she's thinking, is it'll make it so that also Species 8472 can no longer return. So an interesting kind of end to this issue, where Janeway is forced to make another decision to strand her crew somewhere far away from home. This time not to save the Ocampa, but this time to save Earth, right? So I kind of like that kind of interesting little, you know, little thing that they did there with the story. And of course here we got next time, coming next month, Seven has to don a spacesuit, and that looks an awful lot like a Borg cube. So something's going to be going on there for sure. But yeah, an interesting comic. We'll go back to look at the cover again here while we finish up. This series did not go in, it's not going so far in the direction that I thought it would go, because I thought that it would be, at least it would be something focused on Voyager's characters being on Earth, right? But you know, maybe we'll get there in the end. Right? I just want to see that. I want to see him get home. But so far, they've got a lot more things to deal with here. So, still looking forward to getting into the red shirts line. I know we're going to have red shirts number 2 coming in soon, hopefully, so that we can talk about that and then get into number 3. I think that's honestly probably my favorite new Trek comic out there. But this one is good, and definitely a must read if you are a Voyager fan too, right? Just because it does kind of pick up that story for you. So a good time, a fun read, and as always, thanks for hanging out. Live long and prosper, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good night.